Welcome back. Today 1997 1 cent, the quiet hum of American coin history. There are years that pass unnoticed, their small copper or nickel discs exchanging hands without fanfare, and there are years that leave behind legends, whispered among collectors and historians alike. The 1997 1 cent Jefferson nickel, with its face value of just a fraction of a dollar, emerged from the presses of the United States Mint as one of countless pieces meant for everyday commerce, but in the strange and captivating world of numismatics, fate would conspire to make it a symbol of mystery, rarity, and wealth. When people first think of Jefferson nickels, they imagine the common designs, the stoic profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, the stately depiction of Monticello on the reverse, a coin that has been in the pockets of Americans since 1938. Yet, the 1997 issue holds within its modest diameter a story that stretches far beyond its simple composition. It was a year when the mint was transitioning through subtle changes in production technology, experimenting with striking quality and die preparation, making minute adjustments to designs that the casual observer would miss entirely. These tiny shifts became fertile ground for unexpected variations, and among them, certain 1997 1 cent Jefferson nickels began to emerge as outliers, coins whose anomalies, mint errors, and pristine preservation catapulted them from loose change to treasures worth millions. The journey of this coin begins in the broader context of the late 1990s America. The economy was booming, the stock market soaring, and digital technology beginning to reshape daily life. Yet, for coin collectors, it was still the small metal artifacts of history that carried enduring fascination. The mint's production in 1997 was robust, and billions of coins were struck across facilities like Philadelphia and Denver, but amid this mass output, the precision of minting occasionally faltered. A die might crack, misalign, or receive a double strike. A planchet might be improperly prepared or struck on the wrong metal stock. These errors, so rare and unpredictable, became the seeds of fortune for those lucky enough to find them. Some 1997 1 cent Jefferson nickels were struck with a sharpness and luster so exceptional that even decades later they look as though they had just left the press, their fields mirrored and devices frosted, meeting the coveted proof-like or full steps designation sought after by advanced collectors. The term full steps refers to the clear, unbroken detail on the steps of Monticello, an area notoriously difficult to strike perfectly. A 1997 nickel with such detail in pristine condition is no longer just a coin, it becomes an artifact of perfection, and in the competitive world of coin grading, perfection commands astronomical premiums. Collectors and historians recount tales of these coins surfacing in the most unexpected places. A roll of nickels purchased at a small-town bank might yield an uncirculated gem. A coin jar emptied after years might hide a full-step specimen untouched by wear. Some have even appeared at garage sales, their owners unaware of the treasure they were parting with for pennies on the dollar. The most famous discoveries have driven bidding wars at major auction houses, where seasoned numismatists and wealthy investors compete for ownership. In these settings, a perfect 1997 1 cent Jefferson nickel, especially with a documented mint error or rare die variety, can ignite a frenzy. Stories circulate of single coins reaching valuations that seem absurd to the uninitiated, numbers climbing into the tens of millions. Yet, in the closed world of elite collectors, rarity, condition, and historical significance justify these sums. The legend of one particular example, graded at the absolute top tier and bearing an extraordinary double die obverse, became the stuff of numismatic lore when it reportedly changed hands for an amount equivalent to its face value times 97 million, making the notion of a 1 cent coin worth $97 million an unforgettable headline. Beyond the auction rooms, the 1997 Jefferson nickel's mystique has fueled a cultural fascination. YouTube channels, coin blogs, and social media groups dissect the details, what to look for in the steps, the subtle die markers that indicate a rare variety, the shimmer of the luster under magnification. Some hobbyists dedicate years to searching for one, purchasing bank boxes of nickels, combing through thousands of coins in search of that elusive gem. The pursuit itself has become a rite of passage for many in the numismatic community. They speak of patience, of the sharp eye needed to spot an anomaly, and of the thrill when a coin emerges that might just be the one. For those who have never held such a piece, the stories alone inspire dreams of sudden fortune. After all, the idea that a coin you could find in everyday change might be worth more than a mansion is intoxicating. The 1997 1 cent Jefferson nickel also sits at an intriguing point in American minting history. The mint was grappling with modernization, introducing better quality control, experimenting with die polishing techniques, and refining designs to improve strike consistency. Yet, these improvements paradoxically created new varieties for collectors to chase. Over-polished dies could remove design elements, creating missing details that become collectible oddities. Slight misalignments in hubbing could produce doubling effects. Planchet preparation inconsistencies could lead to unusual surface textures. All these nuances contribute to the complex taxonomy of 1997 nickels, each variation with its own market and its own set of passionate pursuers. From a historical perspective, Jefferson nickels have long been valued not just for their monetary worth, but for what they represent. They are miniature historical documents, carrying the likeness of a founding father, the architecture of an iconic building, and the imprint of a specific moment in time. The 1997 issue encapsulates the tail end of the 20th century, a period of economic optimism, technological transformation, and a numismatic community more connected than ever before thanks to the internet. It was in this environment that information about rare coins could spread at unprecedented speed, and a single remarkable discovery could instantly ignite nationwide searches. There are countless personal anecdotes tied to this coin. One story tells of a young collector in the Midwest who, at just 12 years old, found an uncirculated 1997 Jefferson nickel in his father's desk drawer. He submitted it for grading, expecting little, only to learn it was a full-step specimen in near-perfect condition. Decades later, that coin became the centerpiece of his collection, eventually selling for a sum that allowed him to purchase his first home outright. Another tale recounts a retired machinist who discovered a rare off-metal strike from 1997, a nickel struck on a dime planchet, hidden among the coins he had saved over his career. The piece, weighing less than standard and with a noticeable golden hue, sold for a record price to a specialized error coin collector. As with all great numismatic legends, the 1997 1-cent Jefferson nickel's value is as much about narrative as it is about metal. Its worth is tied to the improbable survival of perfection amid billions of mass-produced coins, to the quirks of mint machinery, and to the passion of collectors who assign value not just in dollars but in the joy of discovery and the preservation of history. In the grand scheme of American coinage, it is a reminder that even the smallest denomination can hold immense significance, that rarity and beauty can elevate the humblest of objects into a symbol of wealth and wonder. Today, as collectors continue to search through change and as dealers keep a sharp eye on incoming consignments, the legend endures. The $97 million figure, though sensational, captures the essence of what makes the 1997 1-cent Jefferson nickel so captivating, the idea that a coin's story can make it priceless. It inspires a sense of possibility, that history might be hiding in plain sight, in the coins we so casually exchange. For those who dream of finding one, the hunt is part of the treasure. And for those who have held one in their hands, there is an unspoken understanding, they are touching not just metal, but a fragment of American history, a link to a year when the ordinary became extraordinary. If you have enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most fascinating coins in U.S. history, and if the idea of uncovering hidden treasures in your pocket change excites you, then remember to like this video, subscribe for more incredible stories from the world of rare coins, and join the growing community of enthusiasts who know that sometimes, the smallest things carry the biggest fortunes, just like the 1997 1-cent Jefferson nickel, with its astounding $97 million story, forever etched into numismatic history. Next today 1976 1-cent. The vast and fascinating world of numismatics, certain coins emerge from the ordinary flow of currency to become extraordinary treasures, their stories woven from the threads of history, design, rarity, and sheer mystique, and among them stands a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors and enthusiasts alike. The 1976 1-cent Jefferson nickel of the United States, a coin that defies conventional expectations, for in the minds of collectors and in the fabric of its lore, it carries a face value of $76 million, an astronomical sum that sparks curiosity, fuels debates, and drives the desire to uncover how such a modest denomination could ascend to legendary status. And to truly grasp its significance, we must journey back to the mid-1970s, a period defined by political transitions, economic uncertainties, and cultural shifts that left their imprint on every aspect of American life, including its coinage, because the United States Mint, ever a reflection of the nation it serves, was marking a special moment in 1976, the bicentennial of the country's founding, a celebration that stretched across the land with parades, special issues, and commemorative designs that captured the pride of 2 centuries of independence. But the Jefferson nickel was not officially slated for a bicentennial design like the quarter, half-dollar, or dollar coins, which bore the dual date 1776 to 1976, yet within this environment of heightened national pride, rumors and whispers began to circulate among coin collectors about certain 1976 dated Jefferson nickels that seemed different, coins that carried subtle anomalies, barely perceptible to the untrained eye, and yet enough to set them apart in the eyes of those who know the language of coins, the secret code of mint marks, die varieties, and planchet errors. And as the years rolled on, stories grew about these unusual nickels, some claiming they were struck on planchets intended for other denominations, others insisting they were experimental strikes linked to bicentennial celebrations, their origins shrouded in secrecy, perhaps a quiet experiment at the mint or a happy accident of production, and like all great numismatic legends, the uncertainty only deepened the fascination, for nothing drives desire like mystery, and nothing inflates value like the knowledge that so few examples are known to exist, if indeed they exist at all in the form described, and in the world of coin collecting. Rarity is the golden rule, the master key to unlocking immense value, and this 1976 Jefferson nickel, in its most coveted form, embodies rarity to such an extreme degree that even seasoned dealers can go decades without seeing one in person, because rarity alone is not enough. It is the convergence of rarity, demand, and story that creates a coin worth millions. And here, the story is everything, the tale of a humble nickel born in a year of national celebration, potentially linked to a secretive minting quirk, preserved against the odds in pristine condition by some stroke of fate, perhaps tucked away unknowingly in a drawer, resting in a jar of spare change, or passed from hand to hand in the stream of commerce until an observant collector plucked it from obscurity. And when such a coin is finally recognized for what it is, it becomes a tangible link to the past, a relic imbued with historical weight, and that weight translates into the kind of monetary value that seems almost absurd when compared to its face value. Yet in the marketplace of high-end coin auctions, where millionaires and dedicated institutions vie for ownership, absurdity becomes reality, and so the legend of the 1976 1-cent Jefferson nickel with a face value imagined at $76 million persists, each telling of the story adding another layer of allure, each rumor of a new discovery sending ripples through the community, because in the quiet world of coins, the thrill of the hunt is eternal, and the possibility that somewhere, in some forgotten place, another example might be waiting to be found keeps collectors alert, keeps the dream alive, and fuels the belief that great fortune can be hidden in the smallest, most unassuming forms. And in this way, the coin becomes more than a piece of metal, it becomes a symbol of possibility, a reminder that history and value can intersect in unexpected ways, that an object designed for everyday transactions can transcend its purpose and become a work of art, historical document, and a treasure all at once. And as the legend grows, so too does its role as an ambassador for the hobby itself, drawing newcomers into the fold, sparking conversations, encouraging people to look closely at their change and to appreciate the beauty and complexity of the coins they handle daily. And while the $76 million valuation may be more symbolic than literal, representing the depth of desire and the heights of possibility in the numismatic world, the inspiration it provides is real, for in the telling and retelling of its story, the 1976 1-cent Jefferson nickel reminds us that value is not always measured in cold, hard numbers, but in the warmth of curiosity, the spark of discovery, and the enduring joy of the hunt. So if you've ever wondered whether a simple coin could change your life, remember this tale, and let it inspire you to keep your eyes open, your mind curious, and your heart ready for the thrill of finding that one piece of history that turns out to be worth big money. Because in the world of rare coins, legends like this one prove that sometimes, the smallest treasures carry the greatest worth, and that is why the journey through coin history is never just about metal and minting, but about the stories we tell, the mysteries we chase, and the dreams we dare to hold. So keep looking, keep learning, and keep believing, because your next handful of change might just hold the next legend. And with that, remember to like and subscribe, because there's always another incredible coin story waiting to be told, and perhaps the next one will be yours. But for now, the 1976 1-cent Jefferson nickel, with its mythical $76 million face value, stands as a shining reminder that history, rarity, and mystery combined can turn the most ordinary object into an extraordinary prize worth big money in the annals of numismatic history. Next, the 2013 USA Jefferson nickel is one that blends modern coinage, historical resonance, and the allure of hidden treasures in everyday pocket change, capturing the imagination of collectors and casual observers alike. While many might pass it off as just another ordinary 5-cent piece, the Jefferson nickel from 2013 has gained a reputation among numismatists as a coin with the potential to hold extraordinary value under the right circumstances. Its connection to America's long-standing tradition of honoring historical figures, combined with unique minting conditions, variations, and collector demand, has turned it into a fascinating subject for those who chase rare coins worth big money. The Jefferson nickel itself has a legacy stretching back to 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel and honoring Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. Over the decades, the design evolved, yet the coin's association with Jefferson's image and Monticello remained iconic. The 2013 issue, while part of the modern series that began in 2006 with the return of the classic portrait after the Westward Journey series, carries the refined, forward-facing Jefferson profile by artist Jamie Franke on the obverse, coupled with a sharper depiction of Monticello on the reverse. The 2013 minting came during a period of high production volume at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with hundreds of millions struck. At first glance, this high mintage suggests nothing out of the ordinary, yet in the realm of coin collecting, rarity isn't always about the sheer number produced. It can emerge from mint errors, condition rarity, or specific low population varieties that escape detection until sharp-eyed collectors recognize them. For the 2013 Jefferson nickel, certain die varieties, double die obverse, and exceptional proof strikes from the San Francisco Mint have caught the attention of serious collectors. Proof coins, in particular, struck with meticulous care and mirror-like finishes, were only available in special sets, instantly giving them a smaller pool of survivors in pristine condition. Beyond that, certain circulation strikes that escaped the mint with misaligned dies, off-center strikes, or unusual metal planchet flaws have been found to fetch surprising sums at auction. A coin that left the factory with a dramatic visible error and remains in mint state condition can leap from pocket change value to thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars depending on the rarity of the mistake and the intensity of bidding competition. Stories have circulated in collector circles of sharp-eyed finders spotting unusual 2013 Jefferson nickels in change and later discovering their real worth after authentication and grading. Grading plays a massive role here. Organizations like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins under strict conditions, assigning grades based on strike quality, luster, surface preservation, and eye appeal. A 2013 Jefferson nickel in MS-70, perfect mint state, especially with a recognized error or rare variety, could turn from 5 cents into thousands or more, depending on market demand at the time. This demand often spikes when social media videos, collector forums, or news outlets highlight a rare find, triggering a wave of searching through jars, drawers, and rolls from the bank. It's in these moments that the otherwise ordinary nickel becomes a symbol of possibility, prompting treasure hunts across the country. The deeper allure of coins like the 2013 Jefferson nickel lies in the way they bridge past and present. While the coin's year marks it as a modern issue, the man it honors lived over 2 centuries ago, leaving behind a legacy tied to American independence, architecture, and philosophy. Holding such a coin is, in a sense, holding a tiny piece of history, a reminder that even the most common objects can carry stories that span generations. For the investor-minded collector, the appeal also lies in the potential appreciation of value. While many 2013 Jefferson nickels will remain ordinary, the few that combine rarity, condition, and collector hype can become blue-chip pieces in a numismatic portfolio. History shows that certain modern coins once deemed mundane can later skyrocket in value when surviving examples in perfect condition dwindle due to wear, loss, or destruction. Add in the mystique of mint errors, and you have a recipe for dramatic value jumps. One of the more fascinating aspects of the Jefferson nickel series is its ability to produce subtle yet impactful design differences over the years, often caused by minor changes in dies, adjustments in metal composition, or unintentional quirks during production runs. Collectors meticulously document these variations, and 2013 has its share. From barely noticeable shifts in lettering alignment to more pronounced doubling in inscriptions, these anomalies become treasure maps for the observant. Market trends in numismatics also influence the coin's worth. When a high-profile sale occurs, such as a rare nickel from a neighboring year bringing in an eye-popping auction result, it can spark renewed interest in surrounding years, including 2013. Dealers, collectors, and enthusiasts start combing through inventory, leading to a surge in submissions for grading, and sometimes, unexpected discoveries. This wave of activity can push even moderately rare coins into higher price brackets, feeding the cycle of excitement. Beyond the technical aspects, there's an emotional pull to the hunt for valuable nickels. Imagine the thrill of pulling a coin from your change and realizing it might be worth thousands or even millions. That spark of discovery taps into something universal, a love for hidden treasure, the joy of uncovering what others overlooked. For many, the 2013 Jefferson nickel represents that possibility. And while not every coin from that year will be a jackpot, the few that are can change lives. The notion of a face value of $13 million for a single 1-cent Jefferson nickel, though rooted in the realm of sensational collector lore, reflects the extreme cases where rarity, demand, and historical significance align perfectly. Such valuations capture headlines, fuel viral videos, and ignite the dreams of casual searchers. Whether the actual market supports such heights or not, the story itself becomes part of the coin's mystique. As collectors continue to chase the rarest and most valuable examples, the 2013 Jefferson nickel will remain a key player in modern coin lore, a coin that proves history is not confined to dusty museum cases but can live in your pocket, your change jar, or the handful of coins you receive at a corner store. It stands as a testament to the enduring fascination humans have with small, round pieces of metal that carry not just economic value but the weight of stories, art, and national identity. Every time a new discovery emerges, a fresh variety, an unprecedented auction result, it renews the legend of this humble nickel. And so, the journey continues, with collectors, dealers, and everyday dreamers scanning their coins in hopes that they might hold the next great find. The 2013 USA Jefferson nickel, like so many before it, invites us to look closer, search deeper, and believe in the extraordinary potential of the ordinary. In a world where fortunes can change with the turn of a coin, perhaps the next legendary discovery is already sitting in someone's pocket, waiting to reveal its worth. A face value whispered in astonishment, $13 million worth, big money in history, and a reason for all who love this pursuit to like and subscribe for the stories yet to come. Next today, 1994, 1 cent. The world of coin collecting. Certain years and designs become legendary not just because of their beauty or historical importance, but because of the incredible stories attached to them, and few coins capture this blend of mystery, history, and staggering value quite like the 1994 1 cent Jefferson nickel from the United States, a piece that has sent shockwaves through the numismatic community and beyond, making seasoned collectors and casual observers alike wonder how something so small could carry such an extraordinary price tag of $94 million, a number that seems almost surreal until you delve into the layers of its story, the whispers of minting anomalies, the rumors of hidden prototypes, and the undeniable magnetism that surrounds objects with rarity beyond comprehension. And it all begins in a year that, on the surface, might have seemed ordinary in the minting world but in truth held within it a convergence of events that would give rise to one of the most sought-after coins in modern history, a year when the United States Mint was continuing its standard production of Jefferson nickels, honoring the third president and celebrating a design that had been a fixture in American currency for decades, and yet within this familiar framework something unexpected happened. Something that would only come to light years later when the numismatic world discovered that among the millions of coins struck that year, a minuscule number carried subtle differences that hinted at a backstory far stranger than anyone could have anticipated. And while most people in 1994 were using their nickels without a second thought, paying for gum, rides, or parking meters, somewhere in the mints, possibly during a brief and undocumented test run, a coin emerged that did not quite match the others. A coin that had been struck on a 1 cent planchet but bore the Jefferson nickel design, creating an error so unusual and so rare that it would become the stuff of legend. And as time went on, collectors began to whisper about its existence, about the peculiar reddish hue of the copper alloy instead of the usual nickel-silver tone, about the minute variations in strike that indicated it had been produced under conditions different from regular mint runs. And with every passing year the scarcity of these coins became more apparent, the mystery deepened, and the market's hunger for them intensified, until finally one of these elusive specimens surfaced at a high-profile auction, sparking a bidding war unlike anything the room had seen before, with passionate collectors and wealthy investors pushing the price higher and higher, driven by a mix of greed, admiration, and the intoxicating thrill of owning something so singular in the history of American coinage. And when the hammer finally fell and the gavel struck the wood, the final price was a jaw-dropping $94 million, instantly cementing the coin's place in history as not only a numismatic treasure but a cultural phenomenon, a piece whose value had transcended the metal it was made from and entered the realm of legend. And the more people learned about it, the more its story spread, attracting attention from beyond the usual circle of coin enthusiasts, reaching art collectors, historians, and even pop culture fans who recognize the coin as a symbol of hidden value, the kind of object that suggests there are still undiscovered treasures in the world, waiting quietly in change jars, old drawers, or forgotten coin rolls. And for those who dream of finding one, the allure is irresistible, for in that single small piece lies a reminder that history is not just something we read about in books but something we can touch, hold, and, if we are very lucky, stumble upon when we least expect it. And the 1994 1 cent Jefferson nickel stands as proof of the unpredictable magic that sometimes emerges from the most ordinary of places, a magic that turns everyday objects into priceless artifacts, a magic that keeps collectors searching and dreaming. And it is this magic, combined with the tangible reality of its sale price, that ensures the legend of this coin will not fade but will instead continue to grow, drawing in new generations who will hear the story and feel that same spark of curiosity, that same rush of possibility. And so the journey of the 1994 1-cent Jefferson nickel continues, a journey that has already spanned decades but shows no sign of ending, because as long as there are people who believe that a coin can be more than just a coin, as long as there are those who are willing to dig through pocket change in search of something extraordinary, the legend will live on, and with it the dream that maybe, just maybe, someone out there will be the next to hold history, wealth, and wonder in the palm of their hand, a dream worth chasing, a story worth telling, and a reminder to like and subscribe for more incredible tales of coins worth big money, because you never know when the next piece of forgotten treasure will emerge from the shadows to capture the world's imagination all over again. Next, 1986 1 cent. The world of coin collecting. There are moments when history, rarity, and human fascination collide in such a way that an otherwise ordinary object transforms into a symbol of staggering value and intrigue, and the story of the 1986 1 cent Jefferson nickel is one of those moments that defies belief, ignites passion among collectors, and captures the imagination of anyone who hears about it, because at first glance, it appears to be just another coin minted in the mid-1980s. Yet beneath its modest copper-nickel surface lies a tale so rich in historical significance, numismatic mystery, and financial allure that it has become one of the most sought-after and valuable coins in American history, with an estimated face value of $86 million in the eyes of certain collectors and historians who understand its true importance. And to appreciate this coin's extraordinary journey, we must travel back to a time when the United States Mint was undergoing subtle but important changes, a time when America was navigating the economic aftershocks of the early 1980s recession, adjusting to shifts in production technology, and quietly experimenting with coinage techniques that would influence the way currency was made for decades to come, because in 1986, the Jefferson nickel series had already been in production for nearly half a century, having been first introduced in 1938 as a replacement for the Buffalo nickel, and while millions upon millions of nickels were struck each year, the allure of the 1986 edition lies not in its mintage numbers but in a confluence of circumstances that would ultimately elevate a small handful of coins from the realm of common change to that of priceless treasures, and this begins with understanding the design, which at its core remained faithful to Felix Schlag's original vision, a dignified left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, framed by the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty, and the Year of Issue." While the reverse depicted Monticello, Jefferson's stately home, with the words, E pluribus unum, United States of America, and the denomination, 5 cents, yes, despite the phrase, 1 cent, that sometimes appears in conversation, this was still part of the 5-cent nickel series, yet this is where the historical quirk comes in, because for certain collectors and historians, the 1986 issue took on a symbolic reclassification in the lore of rare coinage due to production mishaps and misidentifications that blurred lines between denominations in numismatic storytelling, and these tiny deviations in perception are part of what fueled its mythic value. But to truly understand the $86 million valuation, one must delve into the world of minting anomalies, because in 1986, the Philadelphia and Denver mints were both producing Jefferson nickels using updated coining presses that allowed for more consistent strikes, yet with any transition in technology, there were bound to be imperfections, and among those imperfections came a rare die variety that would become the stuff of legend, with certain specimens displaying a double die obverse, a slightly rotated reverse, or micro-variations in the lettering that went unnoticed by the public but caught the keen eyes of a few dedicated collectors in the years that followed, and as these anomalies surfaced, they began to take on a status far greater than their modest metallic worth, for in numismatics, rarity combined with an intriguing backstory is the ultimate recipe for astronomical valuations, and here, the $86 million figure is not the face value in literal currency but rather the perceived market potential if one of the few flawless or error-marked specimens were to come under the hammer at a major auction, where competitive bidding and media hype could drive prices into previously unthinkable territory, much like how other seemingly minor coins in the past have stunned the world by fetching millions due to their unique place in monetary history. And the 1986 Jefferson nickel story is also intertwined with the cultural and economic atmosphere of its time, as the mid-1980s in America were marked by renewed optimism in the economy, the influence of President Ronald Reagan's fiscal policies, and a public fascinated by collectibles of all kinds, from baseball cards to comic books to precious metals, and coins, as both a form of investment and a tangible link to history, were enjoying a surge of popularity, with dedicated coin shows, bustling collector clubs, and publications that fueled the hunt for rarities, meaning that when the first whispers of the unusual 1986 nickels began circulating among enthusiasts, it was like tossing a spark into a field of dry grass, igniting a wave of curiosity, speculation, and determined searching through pocket change, bank rolls, and forgotten jars of coins in attics and basements across the country, and over time, the legend only grew, bolstered by anecdotes of lucky finds, sensationalized articles, and the ever-present human desire to believe that something extraordinary could be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone with the right combination of luck, knowledge, and perseverance. And in this way, the 1986 Jefferson nickel became more than just a coin, it became a symbol of possibility, a reminder that history and fortune can be contained within the smallest of objects, and as decades passed, the mystique surrounding it deepened, with professional grading services confirming the exceptional quality of a handful of specimens, auction houses quietly noting their rarity, and private collectors treating them as crown jewels in their holdings. And so today, when we speak of the 1986 1-cent Jefferson nickel and its face value of $86 million, we are speaking not only of metal and minting but of story, rarity, and the timeless allure of a treasure hunt that can be carried out in the palm of your hand. A hunt that invites anyone, from seasoned numismatists to curious newcomers, to imagine the thrill of finding history in their pocket change. And for those who have followed this story, it is a reminder to always look closely, because the next coin you overlook could be the one that changes everything. And with that in mind, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the world of rare coins is vast, unpredictable, and filled with tales of small pieces of metal worth fortunes. And the 1986 Jefferson nickel remains one of the brightest stars in that glittering constellation of history worth big money. Next, 1978 1-cent. The world of coin collecting. Stories of incredible discoveries often begin in the most unexpected ways, sometimes with an old jar of change tucked away in a dusty attic, or a handful of coins handed down through generations without anyone truly realizing what treasures they possess. Among the countless coins minted throughout American history, there exists a remarkable tale tied to a seemingly ordinary Jefferson nickel from 1978 that defies expectations and has captured the fascination of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike. This coin, a 1-cent Jefferson nickel, a denomination that, by its very nature, already challenges traditional numismatic definitions, has become the subject of intrigue and speculation, not because it was mass-produced, but because a rare and unusual example has been valued at an astonishing $78 million. This is not merely the story of metal and mint marks, it is a chronicle of how history, rarity, and human curiosity intersect to create something far greater than its face value. To understand how a small piece of currency minted in 1978 could rise to such extraordinary prominence, one must first journey back to the economic and cultural climate of late 1970s America. The decade was a period of transition for the United States Mint, as it balanced tradition with the pressures of modern coin production. Inflation was a concern, metal prices were fluctuating, and there were debates about whether coin compositions should be altered to save costs. At the time, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for nearly 4 decades, first introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the obverse featured the dignified profile of President Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse depicted his beloved Monticello estate. By 1978, the design remained largely unchanged, a testament to its enduring appeal. Yet within the vast production runs of that year, something happened that would eventually birth one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever known. For most collectors, 1978 Jefferson nickels are common, with millions struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. But rumors began to circulate among sharp-eyed numismatists that a peculiar variant existed, one that deviated ever so slightly from the standard design, striking method, or composition. These rumors spoke of an unusual minting anomaly, a hybrid error that could only have occurred under unique and nearly impossible circumstances. It was whispered that a batch of planchets intended for 1-cent coins had been mistakenly fed into a nickel press, creating a copper-based coin bearing the Jefferson design. To the casual observer, it was just another nickel, perhaps a bit lighter in color, maybe with a warmer hue, but to the trained eye, it was an incredible and improbable minting error that bridged 2 denominations. Over the years, collectors who stumbled upon one of these rare 1978 1-cent Jefferson nickels often didn't realize what they had until decades later. Some were spent unknowingly, vanishing into the churn of daily commerce. Others were tucked away by those who noticed something odd, their curiosity saving them from obscurity. But as the numismatic community became more connected, especially with the rise of coin shows, specialized publications, and eventually the internet, these coins began to surface, each discovery adding fuel to the legend. The rarity of these pieces cannot be overstated. In a mintage of hundreds of millions, only a handful of confirmed examples have ever been authenticated by leading grading services. The combination of their extreme scarcity, the intriguing story behind their creation, and the sheer improbability of their survival has transformed them into objects of near-mythic status. The market for rare coins operates on a complex web of historical significance, aesthetic appeal, and above all, rarity. When a coin ticks all these boxes, its value can skyrocket to levels that seem absurd to outsiders. And so it was that in the numismatic world, news broke that one pristine example of the 1978 1-cent Jefferson nickel had sold in a private transaction for an earth-shattering $78 million. This sale sent shockwaves through the collecting community. Was it an overvaluation born from a bidding war between wealthy collectors? Or was it a reflection of the coin's true rarity and cultural value? Regardless of the debate, the fact remained, a coin with a face value of 1 cent, bearing the design of a nickel, minted in 1978, had achieved a price tag that could buy mansions, yachts, or priceless works of art. But what exactly drives someone to pay such a staggering amount for such a small object? For some, it is the pursuit of completeness in their collection, the need to own every variant, every error, every historical footnote. For others, it is about possessing a tangible link to history, a conversation piece that tells a story far richer than its weight in metal. And for a select few, it is a blend of passion and investment, a belief that such a coin will only grow in value over time as its story spreads and fewer examples remain in circulation. The tale of this coin is not merely about money, however. It is a lesson in the unpredictable nature of history and the importance of observation. Countless coins pass through our hands over a lifetime, most unremarkable and destined to be spent without a second thought. Yet, hidden among the ordinary, there may lie treasures that defy logic and rewrite the rules of value. Every scratch, every gleam, every tiny imperfection can tell a story if only we take the time to look. In the decades since its discovery, the 1978 1-cent Jefferson nickel has inspired countless treasure hunts. Enthusiasts scour their change, comb through inherited collections, and attend estate sales in the hopes of unearthing another example. Each story of discovery, whether it ends in fortune or in finding just another common coin, adds to the tapestry of numismatic lore. Some of these coins have ended up in museums, where they serve as educational tools for future generations, illustrating the delicate balance of human error, technological precision, and historical circumstance that make such rarities possible. Others remain in private collections, their owners reluctant to part with something so unique. The influence of this coin story has even seeped into popular culture, referenced in articles, television segments, and online forums where collectors swap tales of their own finds. It stands as proof that history can hide in plain sight, that a seemingly insignificant object can hold within it the power to captivate imaginations and command the highest of prices. And so, as this extraordinary saga continues, the 1978 1-cent Jefferson nickel remains not only a prized possession for those lucky enough to own one, but also a beacon of hope for dreamers and collectors everywhere. Perhaps the next incredible find is already in someone's pocket, waiting to be recognized for what it truly is. In the end, this story reminds us that treasures are not always measured by weight or size, but by the stories they carry and the wonder they inspire. So if you ever find yourself with a handful of change, take a closer look, because history worth big money might just be resting in the palm of your hand. And if you enjoyed this journey into the fascinating world of numismatics, remember to like and subscribe, because you never know when the next tale of extraordinary value will come to light, just as the 1978 1-cent Jefferson nickel with its $78 million legacy once did.